Howdy, welcome to Mays Mastercast. I'm your host, Ben Wiggins. It's a beautiful day in Aggieland per usual, and we have an exciting show for you today. Julia Black is the number 6 all-time performer among Aggie 3,000 meter steeplechasers. She is also a Master's of Science in Business student. Her undergrad, which she finished in 3 years while competing as an acclaimed intercollegiate runner, was in agricultural communications and journalism with a minor in Spanish. She is a member of the 12th Man Foundation Collegiate Council and the VP of Marcom for the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. We hope you enjoy the episode. Let's roll. We welcome Julia Black to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about your journey from not believing in yourself in your early high school days to then believing in yourself and then coming into a more full-fledged belief in yourself during your college competitive years, if you will.
Yes. So all growing up, I played sports. And when I was younger, my favorite sport was soccer. I always dreamed of playing soccer in college. I loved A&M. My older siblings both went here. And so I even came to the A&M soccer camp. And that was kind of what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Then as I got into high school a little bit more, I started running on the cross-country team. And then I kind of shifted my hopes and dreams of maybe not soccer, but maybe cross country would be a better fit for me in college.
Right.
But of course, A&M was still my dream school. So I was at a cross country meet. I think it was my sophomore year, and my brother was there watching me. And he came up to me and showed me a picture on Instagram of this A&M girl in an A&M uniform at a meet. And he was like, "Hey, look at this." And I remember saying to him, "Oh my gosh, that would be so cool to run at A&M if only I was good enough." And those words, when I think back to them, still give me goosebumps because it was only, 5 or 6 years ago. And those words of, "Oh, if only I was good enough, I could run at A&M." And then those next couple of years, I just worked extremely hard. I wasn't necessarily focused on, I have to run at A&M. I was just focused on that moment and what is going to make me the best teammate, the best athlete, the best person for my high school. Mm-hmm. And so I continued to do all the little things that add up, getting the sleep you need, getting the nutrition that you need, being that supportive teammate.
Eating cheesecake every day?
No, not cheesecake every day, but every now and then.
Sure.
But fast forward to my senior year, I was in the car on the way back from a meet and I get a call from Coach McRaven, the cross country coach here. And he wanted me to come on and visit. And I remember getting that phone call so vividly because it was, my dream come true. I was getting a call from my dream school with the sport that I wanted to do. And when I got that call from him, I instantly thought back to oh my gosh, if only I was good enough. And I didn't necessarily, like I said, think every single day, oh, I'm going to the weight room so I can go to A&M. It was just kind of, I'm going to go to the weight room so I can be a better runner now. And so as I focused on the then and being a good athlete then, in the midst, while I didn't even hardly notice it, I became good enough. And so that was a really special call to get. And I looked at some other schools, but ultimately A&M was home. And I kind of knew that from the beginning.
Know the feeling.
Yeah, it kind of felt like home. So, and here I am.
Yes, here you are. You mentioned working extremely hard. Aside from taking care of the little things, sleep, diet, hydration, what did working extremely hard look like for you?
Yeah, that goes back into practice. Some people I think can tend to have the mindset of, oh, if I get a cramp, like, oh, I can't finish this workout, or, oh, like I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, maybe I'll just do half of it. And that was never the mentality that we had in high school. Our team was under the mentality of, you are here, we want to win state. I think my senior year, that group of 7 that won state, we ended up getting 4th at Nike Nationals. That group, once each person graduated on their time to graduate, whether that was that year or the year after, we each went to run in college. Some of us not in college anymore running. Some of us, stopped halfway through. But that whole group of 7, once they graduated, went and ran D1. And so that was never our thought of, oh, I'm tired. Let's just, I'll just cut it short today. We fed off each other and it was, oh, so-and-so has a cramp. Well, I'll take the lead on this. I'll be the one pushing the pace and you can just sit right behind me and just follow my pace. So we helped each other out a lot. We helped each other out. And I think that transitioned into college a lot too. It's never really been an option for me to just not finish a workout. That's not really a thought that crosses my mind. So that's kind of what I think when working extremely hard. I got the same workouts as other people, and not saying that I'm better than anybody else on my team or anything. There's a lot of people that have that same mindset as me, but it's just, never really quitting halfway through. I get that workout sheet and I'm doing it. Unless my coach tells me otherwise.
And a lot of effective hard work is a function of good time management. Tell us a little bit about your time management strategy, if you would.
Yeah. So I once heard that your life, like your day, that time you have that day is kind of like an empty bucket. And let's say you have these big rocks, which could represent, your things that can't be moved. For me, that's practice time, exams, big projects due. Then you have little rocks that are maybe just homework assignments or your extracurriculars, things like that. And then those could go into the bucket. And then you have sand that you could kind of dump in to fill out the rest. And that could just be watching a movie with friends or going to the park, things that don't necessarily have to get done that day, but maybe you'd like to get them done. And if you just dump all that sand in first, and then the little rocks, and then the big rocks like practice and stuff, you're not going to fit it all in. But if you prioritize things that are important to you, like for me, practice, getting good grades, then you fill in with the extracurriculars. And then whatever time you have left, go watch a movie with your roommate, go get ice cream with a friend. So I kind of work my whole day around that. I obviously have my set schedule of practice and classes, but we both know you have 30 minutes here and there throughout the day. And in high school, maybe I would just take that 30 minutes. Oh, I finished my work early in class. Let me just, get on my phone or talk to a friend. But now that I've gotten into my master's program and I have a lot more time constraints, it's now shifted to, oh, I have this 30 minutes. I have that assignment that's not due for a couple days, but I need to get that done now, or at least part of it. And I've really learned the power of 15 to 30 minutes. I realized I can get almost all, if not all of an assignment due in about 30 minutes if I really buckle down and get that done. And it kind of just takes it off my mind for later. And I've realized, why save a 30-minute assignment for 9 o'clock at night when I could just do it in between classes when I have that time to use. And ultimately, that's just 30 minutes earlier that I could go to bed that night. And then that's 30 more minutes of sleep. And then that makes me a better athlete and a better student. So just kind of reworking my day to take advantage of those little gaps. So I have time at the end of the day to go to sleep earlier, or maybe that time for somebody is just watching that movie or doing something for your mental health. Like maybe that time is not just cramming work in, but adjusting your day to fit the goals you have for later in the day. Our coach, Coach Henry, tells us every single day, don't let the day get away from you. And that's kind of another thing I keep in the back of my mind is like, I could do little things that don't really matter earlier in the day and end up cramming at the end. Or I could work diligently at the beginning of the day and be able to use that time that's kind of added up at the end of the day for something that I need, whether that's going to bed early, foam rolling, watching a movie, doing
foam
homework.
Rolling. That's a favorite activity of mine as well, foam rolling.
Yes. So just kind of reworking your day to see what's important to you. For everybody, that's a different thing. And for me, that's a different thing every day.
Glad you mentioned prioritizing mental health. And you have discussed previously that you went through a difficult time during COVID. Tell us a little bit about how those problems manifested and your journey through them to where you are now.
Yeah, so I am no different than a lot of people with COVID being a challenging part of my life. I know I'm not unique in that. But when that spring of 2020, we got put on spring break, just like everybody else, just like a normal year. And we weren't able to go home because we were training through the whole spring break. So I had practice every day. And then during that time is where they said, hey, let's, go home for a couple of days. Then we'll come back and have a team meeting. And I drove back into town for the team meeting. And that morning it got canceled. And it was just push it back until the point was like, hey, we just can't meet anymore. And so I went home. In the midst of that, I ended up also getting hurt. So I was battling an injury. And so I had to take some time off from that. So I was at home, away from teammates, injured, couldn't run.
the best performance situation imaginable is what
Oh
I'm hearing.
yeah, very ideal. So I took the time off and I gradually was able to work back up my mileage and get back into doing some workouts and stuff. And I got caught up in the comparison game, which you're definitely not supposed to do, especially with this sport. But I started looking on we have an app where you can upload all your runs. We use Strava and Garmin, both of them. But I would scroll on there and see, oh my gosh, this teammate's running this far. I didn't run that far. Oh, this teammate ran this fast. I didn't run that fast. And I knew I'm not running as far and fast because I just had to take 3 weeks off because I was hurt. But no matter how much I told myself that, I still saw their times and their distance that they were running and got really discouraged. And so then that just kind of spiraled into, well, am I ever going to get back into shape? Should I even try to keep doing this whole running thing, which is something that I had loved for years. And so I ended up deleting all the apps where we could track our workouts. I said, I don't want to hear what anybody else is doing. I need to focus on me and what I'm doing. And that's not necessarily something that we focus on now. Right now, we emphasize team. But at that point in my life with the circumstance, I really had to say, like, I need to just be on my own right now and kind of regain and focus on what I'm doing. So I got better throughout that summer. I started running further. I started running faster, but I was still really nervous going into that year because I hadn't been running with teammates since COVID hit in March. So now it's August. We don't know, are we going to even have a season? And if we have a season, am I going to be in shape? Because I haven't been running with anybody. And especially coming off of an injury, building back up on my own, I didn't really know where I stacked up. So I was really nervous going into every workout that we had, of course. Just, am I going to be able to finish this? That was not in my nature to not finish a workout. And so I was really nervous. Am I going to have to stop halfway through? Like, what's going to happen here?
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up making it through all the workouts. Sometimes I was very surprised at the end of the workout, like, oh my gosh, like I made it. And it wasn't like oh, I made it, I'm so good. It was a new appreciation of like, okay, like I did it. And like
it was more a measure of how bad everyone else was.
No. But yeah, it was just kind of like an internal like moment of being proud of like, okay, I just came through all this summer and now like I'm back and I was running well in meets and that was just really exciting like on the internal side of things. But the challenges with COVID were far from over. The challenges of being separated from my team and coming back from injury, that was better. But you got a group full of girls and we couldn't really see each other for the fun things. We usually do team Thanksgivings and white elephants and hang out and have dinner every day of the week. And we couldn't do that anymore. And so all the little things could kind of manifest into bigger things. And so one thing led to another and it seemed like we were just drowning in little like trivial things on the team. And I remember being in my coach's office 2 specific times saying like, I want to quit. I can't do this anymore. Like I can't be here. And like, I would tell him, I don't necessarily like want to leave. I don't want to quit, but like, I just want you to hear my heart and like where I'm at. Like I'm struggling. I can't do it. And so it's kind of crazy to think of that now because a year ago, I did not know. This year, am I going to be running? Am I going to be going to grad school? Like, am I going to just be in the workforce? A year ago right now, I didn't know what I was doing. I genuinely thought I was going to be done with everything. And so it's kind of crazy to be thinking now, like, okay, now we have SEC championships coming up and I'm in a master's program and through the MS business program, we're running our own business and everything. And all these things that almost didn't happen because of all those struggles that I went through.
Then how did you balance self-care during that process with maintaining your opportunity and not putting yourself in a place where you couldn't come back, but at the same time, tending to yourself and giving yourself the time off you needed, the time away you needed, and the time to not be like on full go all the time? I mean, I know kind of a little bit about what the chase looks like in, competitive running. So how did you balance that?
Yeah, it's a tough thing to, be competing at this level and not loving it. And it was a long time to be doing that. And so I was never one that really struggled with mental health. I can say that now because now I have. And so, but in the past, like it wasn't really an issue. I would get nervous before meets and I would kind of doubt myself in that aspect, but I never really struggled with like, I'm about to go do a 14-mile run and I don't want to do it. Or like, I'm about to go do a race and A, I'm nervous and B, like, I don't want to do it. And so that was really hard. And on top of that, nobody knew this was happening with me because I think in the whole indoor season, there was only 2 meets, I think, where I didn't run my best time. I was running a personal best every weekend. And so it's kind of crazy that in the midst of, I don't want to do this. I really just don't want to anymore. I was still able to push myself and run those times. And I kind of can look back on that and be proud of myself for what I was able to do. But with all of that, yeah, my mental health took a hit because I was having to not only push myself to maintain, but I was pushing myself to be better than I've ever been while not wanting to be there. And I can say that I didn't want to be there because now I am very happy to be here. I can openly talk about that. Last year, though, nobody knew. But just some little things that I had to do. I was so caught up in the past about I have to run these times. I have to run this mileage, kind of with the comparison over the summers. I have to be running what everybody else is running. I have to be running the most mileage and all this stuff. And my roommate and best friend, Abby, we would run the exact same mileage. We would both run 70 miles a week, which is a lot of miles that you don't want to do if you don't want to do it. If you want to do it, those miles fly by. But I got to the point where I realized I may need to just take Saturday off, and not running those 5 miles and only hitting 65 for the week is going to be way better for my overall well-being, running wise, mental wise, everything, than if I run those 5 miles and hit 70. Like 70 is just a number, but if I push through and run those 70 miles, run those extra 5 on Saturday, I'm not getting a day off. I'm not getting a break from this. And I knew and I was hopeful that my love for the sport would come back, and I was waiting for that to happen. So I realized, okay, while I'm playing this waiting game and I'm hopeful, I need to take these 1 day a week off. I need to take this Saturday off to kind of recoup, sleep in, take a day off as a break, not necessarily even a break physically, but a break mentally, so I can kind of stretch this out. Because I knew if I kept running 7 days a week, 70 miles a week, I was going to get burned out. And I was so close to that point. And so I kind of had to take a little bit of ownership of my running. That's what our coach really preaches on, is take ownership of it. And that was the first time I've ever done that and said, no, I'm not going to do that. Even though you guys are doing it, I'm not going to, because if I do, I'm probably going to end up quitting. And so I took that day off. I guess it worked because I'm here now and I'm back up to running 65 miles a week. I haven't quite hit 70 again, and I'm kind of not in a rush to do that. I'm perfectly happy at 65, and I'm running happy, running fast. That's all our coach cares about. So that's really nice.
So taking ownership for you, most of the time when people say that, they usually mean find ways to do more, like either in big ways or little ways. But for you, taking ownership actually meant doing a little bit less.
Yes, exactly. And our coach, he says that, take ownership, and it could go either way. And he means it to go either way. If you realize, hey, I could do a little bit more, maybe you do a second run that evening, a couple miles. But like I said, for me, I'm actually going to run less. And for me, that worked. Some people, maybe they need to run more. Some people need to run less. And I finally found that for myself.
Wonderful. Julia, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the interview. Takeaway number 1 today is definitely the idea of taking ownership, sometimes meaning you should be doing less rather than doing more. Some of this is about overall life balance, but some of it is also about efficiency. If an employee can work 30 hours a week, be super happy, and stick around for 15 years, or slam their nose into the grindstone, work 80 hours a week, burn out, and leave in 2 years, what actually adds more value for you? It's not always this cut and dried, but retention, stability, consistency, and quality of life. These things are so important. There's also another element to this, which is taking ownership, simply meaning deciding what is best for your domain, whether that's your participation in a team, your department at your company, or how you interact with your family. Taking ownership is really about displaying founder mentality and seeing the big picture of how you as a team player are interacting with others, with the unit as a whole, with the whole world, and with yourself as a human. Having that big picture perspective is something that's taken on much more import in recent years, especially for younger people. Don't lose sight of it. Takeaway number 2 is the variation in needs across different people to find satisfaction with a team or with a job. Julia mentioned how her team wasn't able to do their outside get togethers during COVID, so the little things started to become more overwhelming. That wouldn't be as important for someone like me. For me, autonomy is much more important. Doesn't mean I need to be left alone all the time, but I need freedom to work the way I like, to have a little say in my training, that sort of thing. And that's a bigger deal for me than the outside gatherings, the social side of things. And you probably need something different than I do. The message here is don't shy away from individualization. Understand that everyone has different needs. The faster you can uncover those needs, the faster you can get into expectancy, instrumentality, and valence. We can talk more about expectancy theory on another show sometime. Takeaway number 3 is about graduate education. It's really striking how many young people are layering a master's degree immediately onto their undergraduate diploma, especially while finishing eligibility or doing a program like PPA. We encourage our younger listeners to take note of this and also encourage parents to consider how large graduate education looms in the workplace these days. So that's a wrap for today. We really appreciate Julia coming to speak with us, and I'll now close us with a quote from Naval Ravikant. Doctors won't make you healthy, nutritionists won't make you slim, teachers won't make you smart, gurus won't make you calm, mentors won't make you rich, trainers won't make you fit. Ultimately, you have to take responsibility. Save yourself. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for watching. We appreciate your support. Drop us a like below and feel free to leave a comment if you wish. We appreciate positivity and constructive feedback. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on our latest episodes and bonus content. You can also take us on the road using your favorite podcast listening app. We have those linked below. If you'd like to know more about Mays Business School or our guests, visit mays.tamu.edu/podcasts. Talk with you soon.